Today's video is all about spears, the spear tier list. Let's get right into it, starting with the first weapon, the spear. This ability, Reckless Charge, lets you charge through multiple targets, and the more charges you have, the more damage you deal. This can act as a mobility, repositioning, and just an all-around weapon for chase, weapon for escape. It's very, very versatile. But where does it stack up in the tier list? Let's get started here. So solo PvE activities like solo dungeons, you got world open world mobs. I'm going to tell you right now, every single spear is worth using for PvE because of the Q and W abilities alone. The E abilities just enhance your Q and W abilities. So for just solo dungeons, the spear is probably like third place in the entire, out of all the weapons, for clear speed. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's a very quick burst for open world mobs. It's great. Every spear is going to be in this category just about, okay? Group PvE. Spears, it really depends on how elitist your group is. As far as the regular spear, I would say it's in between worth using and kind of works because you can interrupt enemy spellcasts. It deals decent enough damage. If I was in charge of a group, I wouldn't mind if you brought a spear. Solo PvP, oh boy, this thing gives, it might be one of the best, okay? This thing gives range, chase, poke ability. It has high just auto attack damage. Spears are one of the most versatile PvP weapons next to swords. The spears are very, very good just in general for solo PvP. So it is definitely up here as possibly one of the best. It's definitely worth using for sure. Group PvP kind of works. Okay, there's like spears. There's better spears, obviously, for group PvP, and all spears are pretty decent in group PvP. But the regular spear, you're better off bringing other spears in the tree. Let's be honest. Now for skinning is pretty decent for a spear. I would say go ahead and use a spear if you want to skin. It has, just all spears in general have nice AoE and range and reach. The regular spear itself is also really, really decent for, disrupting, repositioning, all that kind of fun stuff. For other activities, it's pretty good. Spear is a decent weapon. It's just nice. It's also cheap. It's also easy to use. Next up, we have the Pike. The Pike deals a large chunk of damage, and it roots the target. This is kind of a meme weapon when it comes to PvP, as you can root your target into a Demon Cape lava puddle, dealing tons of damage. And the weapon itself just deals tons of damage. Here's what it looks like. The more charges you have, the more damage it deals. But how does it stand up on the tier list, okay? So, the Pike, again, all the spears are definitely worth using as far as, using the Pike in PvE. The E spell itself kind of works. It's a high damage, just big smashing hit. So it does hurt bosses decently well. It can one-shot tankier targets depending on the tier of dungeon and your specialization and all that fun stuff. But otherwise, it's not really the best of the best that spears have to offer for PvE, but it's, again, all spears are already, by default, really good. Group PvE, don't bring this, There's better spears to bring to group PvE, so just don't bring this at all. Alright, solo PvP, oh man, this is a meme weapon. So it can be the best. It's also worth using. You have to have a Demon Cape, though, to make this weapon really shine. That's the only real downside. But otherwise, if I see someone using a Pike in the world PvP with a Demon Cape, I'm going to, crap my britches because they're going to hold me down in a pool of lava and I can't escape. I'm going to die Terminator style, even though he died willingly. Group PvP, please don't bring this to group PvP. It doesn't really serve a purpose over other spears. Like, rooting one target is not a big deal in group PvP, unless it, I don't know, maybe if you're in a gank group, oh boy, if you're part of a ganking group of 10 dudes, hunting one guy, then you're going to definitely want a Pike user to hold them down with, okay? For skinning, again, this is not really great for skinning. For arenas, arenas are pretty good. Again, it's the meme, every time your Demon Cape is off cooldown, you can kill someone in arena, pretty fun stuff. But other than that, just skinning arenas and other worldly things, maybe hunting certain targets, you're not really getting much out of the Pike. But again, all spears are pretty decent anyway, so not a big deal. Next up is the Glaive. The Glaive deals more damage the more charges you have, but it also flings the target behind you. So it's not like the Pike that roots a target. This is going to throw a bad boy behind you, hopefully into your allies waiting to kill them. And it's hard to demonstrate on a target dummy because you can't fling the target dummy, but you stab them, you lift them over your head, and you slam them behind you, epic style. So what about the tier list? Well, here we go. Again, the Pike, or I'm sorry, the Glaive itself doesn't have any special reason to use it in PvE. There are better spears, so I'm gonna go ahead and slide this one down just because, like, it doesn't deal more damage. It doesn't. You don't need to fling bosses around. There's no real purpose for the E other than deal more damage. Okay. Group PvE, same thing. Don't bring this. There's other spears. Bring the other spears. We're gonna talk about that. Solo PvP. You don't really need to be throwing people into literally nothing. So spears themselves are already pretty damn good, but this one lacks the mobility of other spears, the burst, the damage, the utility. So yeah, for solo PvP, don't bother, okay? For group PvP, it's a fun one because you find one guy retreating, you fling him behind you into your pack of boys, and then he's just gonna get mauled, okay? However, there's a spear ability that all spears have, which is technically better in my opinion, and it's the harpoon. You just hit a guy with harpoon and drag him back into your buds. So this thing is this thing does have one niche for solo PvP. That's corrupted dungeons. You can kind of use fleeing, kind of works in corrupteds to fling people into traps. That's about it. Okay, for arenas, you can maybe be a meme and fling them into your base. Like you harpoon them and then fling them behind you. Your base will laser them down. Kind of works for that. For skinning, there's no point to fling, skinnable monsters around, and no other really hidden uses for this weapon. The Heron Spear deals a ranged attack that is an AoE, and it stuns. So this thing is really nice in PvP. It's decent in PvE also. It's instant, no channeling, no craziness. So let's get into that tier list now that you've seen the ability. Alright, so for solo PvE, this thing is pretty damn good because it is an AoE. I'm going to creep it up a little bit towards the best here. It's not exactly the best, but it has a nice explosive AoE that you can just throw out, kill mobs immediately, from like open world mobs for dungeons. It's pretty decent too. It's not the worst, and out of all the weapons, it's still worth using, okay guys? Group PvE, there's definitely better. I would say it kind of works. If you brought this in my dungeon group, I guess, I wouldn't be the happiest man, but it's still better than a lot of other choices out there. Solo PvP, this thing actually slaps, okay? I know that sounds weird, but it's a ranged AoE stun, which lets you follow up with so many different spear abilities, and even meme reflect builds for spears use this weapon. It's also really cheap for some reason. I don't know why, but definitely a sleeper in PvP. Group PvP, it has its uses. It AoE stuns, it AoE deals damage. You can throw it from afar, so you're safe. It has a lot of utility in group PvP. As far as straight up Zerg versus Zerg, yes, overall, out of all weapons, there are better weapons out there. But this one, it's just good. If you have a high spec and you're strong in this, you're an asset to the PvP group for sure. For skinning, it's actually surprisingly worth using because of the AoE, because of the stun. For arenas, it's alright. You can actually throw this out at people, trying to play it safe and poke them with it. You can also stun people that are clustered on a capture point. I would say it's a pretty damn good weapon. Alright, the Spirit Hunter, this thing it slaps, okay? You throw your spear from a distance. It's going to hit pretty decently hard, not the hardest hit, but it lowers damage resistance of everything it touches, and it leaves this trail of corruption that deals a large amount of damage every half a second to everyone standing in the path. And it looks like this thing just melts. It melts players, it melts mobs. If someone is fully buffed and throws this into a group fight, everything that's standing in that corruption dies. It's a very fun ability. It's not got the worst cooldown timer, and this thing just by itself hits really hard for auto attacks over other spears. It is probably my favorite spear out of all of them, so of course I'm going to be ranking it pretty damn high in this tier list. Okay, let's just go ahead and it's the best spear to use for PvE. Straight up, if you want to kill bosses quickly with it, if you want to kill groups of enemies, if you just want to dismount an open world and melt a group of mobs, this is your boy. This is your weapon. This is the Spirit Hunter. I have a whole newbie starter guide video that recommends this weapon. If you're a cell phone player, this is by far one of the easier weapons to wield for cell phone controls. This thing is just bussin'. It slaps. Group PvE, same thing. You are going to absolutely deal ludicrous damage in a group. You are going to also apply a debuff, to lower the armor of every enemy. I'm surprised that hardcore expeditions don't really utilize this too much. But the armor melting factor for regular group dungeons, it's just amazing. I would love multiple copies of this weapon in group dungeons so much. It would make things so smooth. Tons of damage, just insane amounts of damage, and the utility makes it absolutely worth it for spears. Solo PvP. Man, this thing it hits hard. It's hard to deal with. If you combo it up, there are better spears. So I'm not really putting it up here, but man, it's good. Like if I see my opponent has one of these, I gotta actually pay attention to what I'm doing, okay? Group PvP. Oh man. You throw this into a cluster of people, they're dead. You do so much damage and utility with this thing. It's nuts. It's been nerfed a few times, but it's still really, really, really strong. Skinning? Oh boy, this is one of the better skinner weapons because you just melt everything that you throw this on. I'm surprised this isn't a curse staff weapon of sorts. It's that crazy, right? For arenas, it's really good at controlling, sniping, hitting clusters of people on a control point. It's just really, it's all around, man. If you had to pick one spear to use the Spirit Hunter for sure. The Trinity Spear is really, really neat because it lets you leap, becoming immune to damage and ground control, so it's got some defensive potential there. It deals a huge amount of damage when you land, it roots enemies, and it increases your move speed and attack speed by, 50 and 100% respectively. Reduces cast time too, but you're not a caster as this, so it's more of a group utility thing. Here's what it looks like. You jump, you slam it, and then you just start attacking really, really, really fast. And you move fast too. It's a wondrous, awesome weapon. I'm surprised I don't see it more often because of how just cool it is. It's one of the cooler weapons in the game, right? It's a freaking trident, right? Tier list time. Let's go. Okay, solo PvE. The jump into mobs, it's pretty damn good. It's going to clear mobs quick. Your auto attack will be able to clear mobs quick. It supplements your other spear abilities. It's really, really good. It's not better than the Spirit Hunter, but it is, it's so close. Okay? It's so close. Group PvE, a lot of people would say this is actually better than the Spirit Hunter, though I think it lacks AoE damage. Yes, you increase everyone's auto attacks and cast times, but that's not a lot of damage increase. So I'm going to stick it right here, kind of in between the two. Solo PvP, this thing is really good for solo PvP also, okay? Not only because if you jump on a guy and he doesn't react defensively enough or in time, he's dead. He's just instantly dead. It's one of the higher DPS solo auto target attack weapons in the game, okay? It makes you crazy strong in a 1v1 when they don't have an answer to your E. Simple as, okay? Group PvP, it has a lot of utility. The damage is not really quite there. Again, not everyone needs to rely on auto attacks or move speed. It's situational. I don't really see it too often, but it's still really good to have. People are going to be glad that you brought this along. For skinning, the auto attack speed is nice. It's fine. The AoE is fine. There's just better spears. And for arenas, I've never really seen anyone really slap at arenas, right? Anytime they cast the E, I just run away and wait. I don't know. For arenas, I'm going to say it kind of works. I've never really seen a successful player in arenas use this weapon, but I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure they are. Finally, we have the Daybreaker. Okay, the Daybreaker is basically the same thing as the Spear, but whenever you charge, you can't be crowd controlled, and it purges all buffs that the enemies that you pass through. It also deals more damage. Has a higher cooldown too. So it looks like this. You do telegraph the attack before you actually cast it, letting people react, but you're going to debuff whatever shields they throw up anyway, so maybe that's kind of the point, alright? So, tier list time, where does it stand? Okay, for farming mobs, it's about the same as the Spear. It does a slight more damage. You don't really need to purge mobs. For group dungeons, I would say bring something else, but hey, you can purge a few very tough to deal with buffs that mobs may have, but I don't know, man. For solo PvP, apparently people do really, really good on this. This used to be a meta weapon for corrupted dungeons. It's also kind of a meta weapon for Hellgates, I've heard, but I haven't seen it in a long time. For all I know, it could be, it could not be. I'm not entirely sure. But it's still definitely worth using if you can afford it over the regular spear. It's almost better in every way. Group PvP, I see these often in group PvP just as a way to purge shields and stuff like that. So it's definitely got uses there. And the fact that you can't be stopped when charging, that's really, really nice too, so it's guaranteed to hit. Skinning mobs, I don't really see the point, and arenas, I've seen like one guy in arena be able to pull this weapon off, but honestly, it's not really super great compared to other spears. But anyway, guys, that is the tier list video for spears. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a comment, because I read every single comment. I know, I have no life. I'll read all of them. And leave a like if you could. You know, you made it this far, you might as well, right? Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm so Benji. Come back tomorrow, because I got videos every day on this channel. It's quite the grind. And if you want to help me out with this grind, click the thanks button down below. Leave a monetary donation. I really do appreciate it. I'm trying to get a new pair of headphones, because I'm just using like a little crappy, broken, cheap pair. Yeah. Bummer, right? Anyway, guys, thank you so much. If you want to also support me, become a channel member. It's $5 a month. Click the join button down below. It's like being subscribed on Twitch, but it's on YouTube, and it's way better. So, you get access to private, more personal videos if you do that. Check out the playlist in the pinned comment. One of those is how to be a YouTuber. I basically made that video for myself in case I forget how to be a YouTuber. I also have a corrupted dungeon build for one of the curse staffs that I thought was too good to show to the public. So, again, check out the playlist if you're interested. Become a channel member. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Take care.